into Fantasy Baseball today on Thursday, April 9th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White. Today on the show, we have players to buy. That's right. Another day, another homer for Jordan Walker. I have a pitcher that you need to stash right now before it's too late, and much more. Let's jump in.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Tom Hamilton is a national treasure, man. Guardians radio voice. He's the man. I love that guy. Let's start off with the good player of the night, Scott. Before we get to yours, that would be my guy, Sal Stewart.
Yahoo!
Quite the homecoming here in Miami. 2 for 4 with a sock and a shoe. His third home run, his third steal, has all 3 steals in the past 4 games. And he has started each game this season. He has hit cleanup in each game this season. He is off to a roaring start. 366 batting average, 3 homers, 3 steals, and 1154 OPS. He has more walks than strikeouts so far. And entering Wednesday, 93.6 average exit velocity, 19% barrel rate. Expected stats are off the charts. And with that, Scott, I have not moved him up my rankings at all because I don't really see how I could, right? It's like you look at the names that are just ahead of him in the first base rankings, like Yandy Diaz, also off to a great start and also much more proven than someone like Sal Stewart. The one name that stands out is like Tyler Soderstrom has only done it for a year, but he was really good last year and he had prospect pedigree and it's still early in the season. So as great as Sal Stewart is, and I'm very happy in the leagues that I have him, and I am obviously buying this breakout because I was so ecstatic about him coming into the season. I haven't moved him up yet because I feel like I can't move him ahead of those names just yet.
Yeah, that's always the tough thing with an early season breakout, even if it's one you fully believe in. And I think we should all fully believe in Sal Stewart's breakout. Like, none of those numbers you read off are out of character for him. You could say out of character, he's a rookie. Yeah, but you look at what he did in spring, you look what he did for that short stint he was up last year, you look at what he did throughout his minor league career, he legitimately hits the ball that hard. He legitimately has excellent place discipline. You mentioned more walks and strikeouts so far. That was also true in spring training. Even the 3 stolen bases. I pointed this out toward the end of spring training when, by the way, he had 4 stolen bases. That in the minors last year, he had 17 stolen bases. That is not necessarily something I expected to continue in the majors, where obviously there's a lot more risk for stealing bases. Minors are more about development, and so players are encouraged to stretch themselves in more ways than maybe they would be in the majors. But once I saw him running in spring training with those 4 steals there, I was like, hey, maybe this is something he could carry over in addition to all we like about Sal Stewart as a hitter. Maybe he could add this element of speed that's so rare at first base. But yes, it is tricky at the start of the season to know when to make the big move that's going to position this newcomer, even one we're buying into, ahead of the established anchors at the position. Because, you don't want to be so blown around by the wind that you're constantly shifting all the top guys around just based on the way the last week looked. You want to, if you're going to make a move, Sal Stewart into the top 6 or 7 at first base, you want it to hold. You want your word to mean something, basically. And that's what the rankings represent, is our word. So personally, I would have a pretty easy time moving him ahead of Yandy Diaz. In fact, I actually did. Maybe not in points leagues because Diaz has always been a standout in that format, but I don't know that Diaz is as proven as you say. He's proven that he's like a deserving major league starter. He's proven he's a good on-base guy, but the home run output has, a couple times he's gotten to 20 homers. One of them happened to be last year in a smaller park than he's used to playing in. But I've already moved Sal Stewart ahead of Yandy Diaz in Roto leagues. Soderstrom, yeah, I think we could talk about that. I think we're close to talking about it with Vinny Pasquantino because he only has the 1 year he can hang his hat on as a true fantasy standout, and obviously there's zero speed there. I'm not saying you need to freak out because of Pasquantino's slow start. I'm just saying the combination of that and the kind of upside I believe Sal Stewart has relative to Pasquantino, and the amount of faith I have in Sal Stewart makes me close to making that move.
I hear what you're saying. Pasquantino got off to a slow start last year too, and then from May on, he was basically a stud. So
yeah,
I don't know. If
I don't. I'm not saying anybody needs to freak out about Pasquantino. I'm just saying Sal Stewart is, if he's as good as I think he is, and as good as he's showing right now, he's probably better than Pasquantino. That's more what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely a chance that we can get there. I mean, we could look back at the end of the season and be like, all right, well, Sal Stewart's a top 3 or 4 round pick. I brought this up earlier in the offseason. What do I think his ultimate upside could be? Someone like Sal Stewart. And I mentioned Manny Machado. I mean, different position. Sal Stewart, did come up as a third baseman, but, he's only playing first base now. But that's actually like his idol. He's very close with Manny Machado too. And I just see a similar skill set. I see, long-term good batting average, probably close to 30 home runs, and probably chip in, when he's really going 15 steals, something like that. So I don't know if he'll get to that upside this year, but it's I see it. I see the vision here with Sal Stewart. Last question on him, Scott, is buying high on a player. We were talking a little bit beforehand. It's like, is it good strategy to buy high on a player? I think it depends what level of buying high you do, because you could be buying while a player's value is still rising. I mean, we don't know, obviously, when it's going to hit its, peak, but you could buy Sal Stewart now before people realize, oh, he is like a top 50 player in fantasy. And then it's obviously too late then. But, whoever has him probably is so excited they probably wouldn't want to deal him. But if someone's like, I don't know if I really buy all this from Sal Stewart, like, yeah, we do.
Yeah. I mean, obviously buy high is not as common a part of the lingo as buy low is. So even with me, you kind of have to explain what you mean by buy high. And that is just, you're kind of hoping the person on the other end of a player who is streaking at the start of the season, the person who has the player who's streaking at the start of the season, is going to be in the mindset of, I want to sell high on this guy, but you're there like, no, but he's actually this good.
Right.
And exactly. So I'm going to be the one to do you the favor of, in your mind, selling high on the guy, but actually it's a legit buy on my part. So that's the kind of idea you're talking about, I think.
Yes, that's exactly it. The problem with Sal Stewart is that there was a lot of hype coming in. So it's probably not realistic, but
I mean, and this goes back to that article I wrote a couple years ago about how much harder it is to trade in fantasy baseball now. Is I think there's so much suspicion everywhere you look that if somebody, even if somebody is skeptical of Sal Stewart, the person who drafted Sal Stewart is skeptical, and they're probably not because, he was a pretty hot commodity in drafts. So why would the person who paid up for the hot commodity be skeptical of him? But just hypothetically, let any player you want to put there in Sal Stewart's place, if the person who has Sal Stewart is skeptical, the very fact somebody's going to bring an offer for Sal Stewart is going to make them less skeptical, because it's like, what do you know that I don't know? This guy is obviously performing big for me right now. I don't know. I don't know that this is a good idea. Just your level of interest makes me feel like this is not a good idea.
Right. Yeah, I think that's well said. I guess another way you could look at it outside of the realm of trading, which we'll get to some buy low names later on, is just like, if we are saying buy high on a player, basically we are giving that player our stamp of approval. Like, we are buying what we're seeing early on in the season from a said player. And it's very obvious that's how we feel about Sal Stewart as well. Scott, who was the player who made you say, Oh my goodness gracious on Wednesday.
Well, not in a good way. It was Framber Valdez who had a stinker against the Twins. The Twins have done that to Tigers aces on back-to-back days.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. The lineup I claimed was going to be the worst in all of baseball this year. At least for these 2 days, it hasn't been. That is kind of baseball for you, isn't it?
I heard this on the Yankees broadcast. Tarek Skubal gave up 4 earned runs in an inning on Tuesday night. That was the first time he did that in 51 starts. That's crazy. To the Twins.
Yeah. So Framber Valdez gave up 8 runs in 5 innings, 10 hits. Only struck out 2. It was pretty cold, 51 degrees. Velocity on his pitches was down kind of between half to a full mile per hour. But more than anything, I will note that average exit velocity against him was 84.9 miles per hour, which is very good, very low. Only 2 of the 10 hits were for extra bases. They were both doubles. He did give up a handful of hard hit balls. So I'm not saying the singles were unearned, but it was a ground ball pitcher who gave up a lot of singles. And, maybe didn't have as good of a feel for the curveball as usual because it was so cold. So I think he deserves a pass. He looked fine in his first 2 starts. It's baseball. Bad starts are going to happen to good pitchers sometimes, even against bad offenses. Oh my goodness gracious tonight. But in the long run, I think you're still going to be happy with Framber Valdez.
And if you look at his first 2 starts, they were very Framber Valdezian in that they were just solid quality starts, right? It's like when he's going, that's pretty much what you should expect from Framber Valdez. Again, his first 2 starts, not this one here, the stinker that he put up on Wednesday against the Twins. And I think this is a good reminder, Scott, that this early in the season, very weird things are going to happen. I mean, the fact that so many games are being played in sub 50 degree weather right now, that's just not normal, right? Like by the time we get to May and on, I mean, it's going to be pretty much 70 plus degrees everywhere around the country. Some places going to be like 80, 90 degrees. And that's the way that baseball is supposed to be played. So yes, I am making excuses for some of these guys, but I think it's excuses both ways, Scott. I think for pitchers, it's really hard to grip some of your pitches in weather like this. And also, I think it's really hard to get offense going for a lot of guys this early in the season. So, well,
the ball doesn't carry as well. Pitchers in general have a harder time throwing strikes this time of year. It's, there's such a thing as midseason form. It's not just a cliche. I guess it is a cliche, but it's a cliche that became a cliche because it's there's legitimacy to it. And, it's very recently these guys just switched into competitive mode. And it's going to take a while for, as dependent as baseball is on both the hitting and the pitching side to your mechanics being just in perfect synchronization, everything, every part of your body, every movement operating at peak efficiency. Like, it's understandable anytime something weird happens, but especially this early in the year.
Just a reminder before we hit our first break, if you are watching on YouTube, thank you for being here. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you aren't watching on YouTube, why not? YouTube.com/fantasybaseball today. Check us out. Let's take a break and we'll be back right after this.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ hits every highlight from all the sports that matter to you.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, streaming free 24/7.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today. Before we get to the players to buy, let's hit some news and notes. Cole Ragans left Wednesday's start in the first inning after taking a comebacker off of his left thumb. He recorded just 2 outs and was charged with 3 earned runs. Reagan said after the game that he should be good to make his next start. What a weird start to the season, Scott, for Cole Ragans. First start, bad. Second start, bounce back, but took a tough luck loss. I believe he gave up just 1 unearned run in that game. And then boom, third start, you're expecting Ragans to be your SP1 or SP2 and leaves in the first inning with kind of a fluke injury. It's very frustrating.
Hey, he beat the Twins. He shut down the Twins, okay?
That's true.
We've discovered that good left-handers are having a hard time against the Twins. Not Ragans' problem. No, I think he's looked good under the hood. The velocity was actually up a little bit, and the tiny amount he threw, the velocity was up, and that was the one thing that was maybe a little off, even in that good start against the Twins. But aside from that, everything has looked good for Ragans. You know, it's the sort of thing. We're sitting here on April 9th, and it's easy to wring your hands over a high draft pick not performing well because, oh man, it's been a couple weeks already. It's been 3 starts. Like, when am I going to get this payoff? Am I ever going to get this payoff? This is still just a drop in the ocean of the season. And, you know, how many times do we look back at a guy who had a horrible April and went on to have a fantastic season, a horrible entire month of April? And it's April 9th. And I just, you know, unless there are obvious red flags, I would not be freaking out about a draft pick as high as Cole Ragans or Framber Valdez or whoever you want to insert there.
Connor Griffin's extension with the Pirates was officially signed. 9 years, $140 million, the largest guarantee in Pirate history, as well as the largest guarantee for a player in his rookie season. Zach Eflin underwent Tommy John surgery on Wednesday. He will miss the rest of the season and part of next year as well. Jorge Soler and Ronaldo Lopez have been handed 7-game suspensions each for their brawl on Tuesday. Ronaldo Lopez already got his reduced to 5 games. I believe I saw that Soler is appealing as well. Despite dealing with knee discomfort.
By the way, just to be fair to Soler, because we didn't point this out when we were recapping this yesterday, I didn't catch this. I think I turned on the game after it happened. Soler homered off Lopez in his first at bat, which we did talk about. And Soler has a great history against Lopez. In the second at bat, Soler got hit. We didn't mention that. And then on the third at bat,
I did, Scott. I mentioned.
Okay. Sorry, I may have missed you saying it too. And then the third at bat, the fastball was, wild on the first pitch. Yeah, and that's what led to the fisticuffs.
Yeah, man. Despite dealing with knee discomfort, Jacob deGrom is expected to make his next start Sunday against the Dodgers. Ian Happ was out of the lineup due to a bruised left heel. Marlins manager Clayton McCullough said Kyle Stewart should be ready for a rehab assignment soon. He's working his way back from a hamstring injury. McCullough also said it's possible Kyle Stewart will play first base this season. So if you have Stewart, we could gain that extra eligibility there with him. Anthony Volpe could potentially begin a rehab assignment next week. He's working his way back from left shoulder surgery. Last year hit .212 with 19 home runs and 18 steals, 23% rostered. Scott, do you have any interest in stashing Anthony Volpe right now?
In a deep enough roto league, sure. I don't think he's that impactful, but he's steals some bases, has usable power for somebody who steals bases. I would say if you've given any thought to stashing Ha-Sung Kim, you should also give thought to stashing Volpe. And frankly, I think I'd rather stash Volpe between the two.
Would you like to guess who played shortstop for the Yankees last night?
Well, I probably shouldn't have to guess, but I don't know the answer, so you tell me.
Ryan McMahon played shortstop.
Oh, yeah, they did talk about that in spring.
Yep, he's batting a cool .090 or something like that to start the year. It's
that is interesting that they view him as the better shortstop than Ahmed Rosario, who's playing third base, because McMahon, obviously Rosario came up as a shortstop. McMahon's a great defender, and I guess Rosario's defensive skills have eroded enough that it makes sense to do this now.
Yep. Max Scherzer has been confirmed as the Blue Jays starter Sunday against the Twins. Kirby Yates threw 26 pitches to hitters on Tuesday and could begin a rehab assignment soon. Carlos Correa was out of the lineup again due to an illness. So for those who use Correa hoping to get those Coors Field games in there, that was not great. Christian Javier left Wednesday's start due to right shoulder tightness. It's been a tough go for the Astros rotation recently. Victor Robles was placed in the IL with a right pec strain, and my guy, Connor Joe, was recalled from AAA, and he proceeded to go hitless and have an error in that game that caused a run to cross the plate. So, not
You want to claim that? You still want that heat?
Not the greatest Mariners debut for my guy, Connor Joe, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Johan Oviedo will be shut down for 6 weeks with a right flexor strain. I have some Reds updates here. Jose Trevino was placed in the IL with a thoracic spine strain, and Christian Encarnacion Strand was designated for assignment. I am interested to see if one of the low league teams in baseball just take a flyer on Encarnacion Strand and just see if there's anything there. Like, Rockies, come on down.
Well, the Rockies have about 5 options at first base already that we would like to see get a chance, and the one they've chosen is doing rather well.
Nationals, White Sox, I don't know, like one of the bad
teams. Well, the Nationals are playing a second baseman at first base, so why not them? I get the overall point. Yeah, but the Rockies probably aren't the team.
Angels reliever Robert Stevenson underwent ligament and flexor repair surgery on his right elbow and is likely to miss the remainder of the season. This one is a playing time standout, Scott. Samuel Basallo has sat out 3 of the past 5 games. He's off to a slow start. Any concern there with Samuel Basallo?
Oh, you have to be concerned. He didn't show much in his first stint in the majors last year, and now he's losing playing time. It could very suddenly change, as we saw with Carter Jensen. I removed him from the sleeper hitters for this week because he had a stretch where he wasn't playing much, and then he homers in back-to-back games to start the new week and seems fully entrenched again. I don't think the Orioles are going to give up on Basallo in the long-term sense, but could they option him to the minors if they're not willing to play him right now? Go ahead and get him some at-bats instead of just having him on the bench. That seems possible. Not ready to drop Basallo yet, certainly not in 2-catcher leagues. Not saying that by any means. Things could turn around tomorrow again.
Yeah.
But yes, there is some concern.
And speaking of catchers, Ivan Herrera now has catcher eligibility on CBS. So he's got the 5 games in anywhere that you only needed 5 games. Ivan Herrera is now a catcher. I mentioned a pitcher to stash up at the top. And this is not breaking news by any means, Scott, but he has been dropped in some leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Didier Fuentes, 36% rostered on CBS, had the awesome spring. Everyone was excited to pick him up. We had the injury to Strider. We thought, all right, maybe Fuentes will get a shot here. On Wednesday night at AAA, 6 shutout innings with 8 strikeouts for Fuentes, and he got built up to 86 pitches. Velocity was up across the board here. I think you need to add him now because I think Jose Suarez and Martin Perez stink, and I think Fuentes will get a shot very soon.
Maybe. We did just do my 5 on the verge, the 5 prospects to stash for the prospects report, and I did not include Fuentes in there. But maybe I should have included Fuentes in there. Hang on, let me check here. Yeah, I should have. For some reason, I wasn't thinking of him in terms of, he's a prospect since we saw him last year, but he didn't pitch nearly enough to lose prospect eligibility. So yeah, that's just a miss by me because after Bryce Eldridge, there isn't a prospect I'd rather stash than Fuentes. Having said that, Spencer Strider's throwing bullpen sessions again. He's supposed to be back. I don't think he has to go through a whole build-up process since he was fully built up at the end of spring training. His projected return is still mid-April. So he might just need a rehab start or 2. And with the way Bryce Eldridge has pitched so far, obviously Reynaldo Lopez has been effective. They may not pull the trigger on promoting Fuentes yet. They may give Martin Perez another turn, just wait for Strider to get back.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a sure thing, but yeah, it's an exciting player who you certainly see a path for Fuentes. And if you've missed out on all the interesting pitchers emerging on waiver wire so far, there's certainly appeal in stashing him. I'm doing it myself in a couple leagues.
Yeah. That Strider scenario is the only one that came to mind that could, kind of mess up this opportunity here for Fuentes is, if they just want to wait for Strider to get back, I totally would understand them doing that. Could they mess around with a 6-man rotation? It's not something that they've mentioned, but I guess it's always a possibility, especially if there's a stretch of, a lot of consecutive games coming up. Let's get into
Elder. I think I called him Bryce Eldridge again.
I think you called him Elder.
I did call him Elder?
Because you mentioned Eldridge in there as
the top prospect to stash.
But I think when you said Elder, you said it right.
Okay. Their first names shouldn't both be Bryce. That's just going to be a problem all season, I can tell.
One of you guys just change your name. We got a position going here. Players you might want to buy low or buy high on early on in the season. Who are they? Scott, NSYNC or Backstreet Boys? Who you got?
Well, I haven't given this a lot of thought.
I'm just springing it on you now.
I think I find myself singing to myself on occasion more Backstreet Boys songs than NSYNC. Now, it's interesting you bring this up because you just caught me singing Britney Spears' Oops, I Did It Again to myself yesterday when Jordan Walker hit another home run.
That's true.
So maybe Britney beats both. I don't know. But that's
probably true.
This was the popular music when I was in high school. So I didn't necessarily seek it out, but I was inundated with it. And yeah, I think I'll give the edge to Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, look, there was no escaping it in the 90s. No matter where you were, Britney, Backstreet, NSYNC. I prefer NSYNC to Backstreet Boys, and I partially like to do that just to mess with my wife because she's a big Backstreet Boys fan. But I mean, they're all catchy, but I do prefer NSYNC just a little bit. Let's talk about the players here, Scott. Kyle Bradish, what is going on? He has not looked right so far at the White Sox here on Wednesday. 5 innings, 3 runs, 9 base runners allowed in this one. Did have 7 strikeouts, but only 4 whiffs on 96 pitches. He has had 3 walks in all 3 outings. Just has not looked sharp so far, and really just kind of had like a mental breakdown on the mound today too. Like they threw the ball back to him and it fell out of his glove and he didn't go to like retrieve it right away. And the runner on third just ran home when he wasn't. It was just like a weird sequence for Kyle Bradish, and he owned up to it after the game, but it's been a weird start. Scott, what have you seen from Bradish? Is he somebody you would be looking to buy low on right now?
Yeah, I think so. 3 walks in each of his 3 starts so far. That seems out of character. He didn't give up particularly hard contact in this start and hasn't overall either. The starts have been short. The walks have been high. The stuff is still looked good enough that I'm not thinking, wow, this is a panic time for Kyle Bradish. And what did we just get through talking about? If you believed in a guy coming into the season, you don't change your opinion in early April unless it looks like the Carlos Estevez example, like the velocity's way down. He just looks like he's totally physically incapable of doing what we thought he could do. And we probably would have sorted that out in spring training already. So I think Kyle Bradish, I'd be more likely to buy than sell on him.
Yeah, I agree. And he's probably maybe not the player, but one of the players I've been getting questions about the most so far. Obviously, we were all pretty excited about him, hyping him up as a breakout candidate this year. And it has not gone the way we expected so far. 5.27 ERA, 168 whip. So I understand people being frustrated with Kyle Bradish early on here. Velocity, I will just mention, it's been down like a half to 1 full mile per hour on all of his pitches. But I mean, that's within a reasonable range of outcomes. That's not something that I would freak out over here with Kyle Bradish. So I agree. I think that we should be buying Kyle Bradish. What about Eury Perez? he was just kind of meh against the Reds here, coming off a bad start against the Yankees. 5 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 of those earned, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. So 8 base runners here over 5 innings. Still got a ton of whiffs, but home runs have been an issue early on here. He has allowed at least 1 homer in each start. He's allowed 4 homers total in his 3 outings. And the overall number is 5.06 ERA, 138 whip, and 5 walks per 9 early on here, Scott. What do you think about Eury Perez? Is he somebody to look and buy on?
Yeah, I think so. It was a so-so start in terms of the final line. Though he did get a win, and he was... How many innings did he throw? He threw 5? Yeah, 5. Okay. So, it obviously was an inning away from getting a quality start. But 15 whiffs on 95 pitches, average exit velocity, 82 miles per hour. He threw 66% of his pitches for strikes. Like, other than the fact that he gave up a home run, there's not too much to complain about in this start. I guess he only went 5 innings. But like, he looked like the stuff played well. The stuff played well, and the control. He had that one start where he walked a bunch of guys, but it was really just limited to that one start. I think there's still, the upside is still palpable here, and it would not surprise me if we look back and say, isn't it strange how in Eury Perez's breakout season, where he was a Cy Young contender by the end, he had a stretch of a few bumpy starts at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's someone who, coming in, I was a little bit, less confident in Eury Perez than everybody else was. Like, some of the things I was concerned about have come to fruition so far, but it's only 3 starts. So there's no victory laps here, but I was a little bit worried about like command, and he gives up a lot of barrels and fly balls. So like home runs could be an issue for him at times, but the stuff has played so far. And even in this start, it was only 4 hard hits allowed and 82 mile per hour average exit velocity against. So if anybody in your league was concerned about Eury Perez, I would be looking to buy. And with that, I know some people listening might say, oh, in my league, you could never buy low on Eury Perez. Some of the questions that we get, Scott, it's just, you would be surprised. Like people, have 1 or 2 bad starts, and people start thinking about like dropping players, like just established players or players with lots of upside. So we get questions like this often, and that's why we bring up scenarios like this.
Yeah. In your league, maybe nobody would dream of trading Eury Perez, but your league isn't every league. And yeah, most of the questions we get skew shallower than the kind of leagues we play in, the kind of leagues maybe you, snooty guy, are used to playing in. So, not every word you hear on this podcast is going to be for you. We try to have wide appeal, and you don't have to get angry about it. Just understand there are a lot of different league types out there.
There's something that Adam Azer does on the football podcast during the season when he talks waiver wire players that I think it's just so spot on, and it's so funny because it happens to us sometimes too. It's like he does this voice where he's like, none of those players are available in my league, and it's just like, yeah, that does happen sometimes.
I think partly that's just people bragging about their league, like, oh, my league is so much more competitive than you novices,
right?
Yeah.
But, that's not the, I wouldn't say that's the most, I don't want to say common, but, the majority of players out there. I think this is more likely to happen in the majority of fantasy leagues than not. What about Mackenzie Gore? This is a bit of a buy high situation if we're actually buying what has happened so far. And we have been faked out by Mackenzie Gore many times before. 5 shutout innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts here against the Mariners, 10 whiffs on 82 pitches. But what I like so far, Scott, is the fact that he is throwing his fastball a little bit less so far this year. And that's exactly what I wanted to see, because his fastball has been hit hard at times. And I think it's a pitch that is hard for him to command at times as well. So I wanted him to work those secondaries in more. And it's something that he has done. So I am actually very encouraged by what we've seen from Mackenzie Gore so far.
It is a slight difference.
It's from like 49% to 42 or 40. But I mean, 10 percentage points.
43.
He only threw it 40% in this one. So.
Okay, so maybe it goes down to 42 now.
Right. Yeah.
For the season. It's I don't know. It could be something he sticks with, but it's still like he throws his fastball a lot. And so if it creeps back up over the course of the season, it wouldn't surprise me. I will also point out that it hasn't led to him throwing a lot more strikes. 60% strikes in this start, as good as it was. I only walked 2 in 5 innings, but 60% strike rate is not good at all. And overall, it's a 61.5% strike rate for the season, which still is not good at all. And it's a 3-start sample. I get it, but it continues the trend of Gore's career, where except for some brief stretches where he is throwing enough strikes and dominating, he generally hasn't thrown enough strikes, and looks good so far, but I'm still seeing the trend of not enough strikes. It still has me of the ones you've named so far. This is the one I would be least likely to buy on.
A buy medium.
I mean, I don't even know that I'd buy. I'm not saying you have to sell, because I'm not sure he's raised his stock enough that you're going to get that you're going to profit over your the draft stock you invested in him. I'm not sure he's raised his stock enough.
Yeah, it's not like we've had this, monster blow up start from Mackenzie Gore yet, right? Like he had on opening day last year. I think it was 12 or 13 strikeouts. He's capable of doing things like that, but I hear what you're saying about the strike rate as well, but so far it hasn't reared itself in the walks. The walk rate has been okay, but if he remains around 60% strike rate, then probably will lead to more walks. I'm just encouraged by that fastball rate so far early on in the season, and want to see what he could do now that he's with a new team. Wilyer Abreu is off to a nice start as well. 2 for 4 with a run and RBI. He has started all 12 games for the Red Sox, including 2 against lefties. It was Jarren Duran who was out of the lineup here on Wednesday against a left-handed pitcher. Wilyer Abreu batting .383, 3 homers, an OPS over 1,100. The underlying plate quality of contact, Scott, looks awesome so far as well for Abreu. And this is a continuation of what we saw in spring training and the WBC. So I am also really, really encouraged early on here from what we've seen from Wilyer Abreu.
Yeah, I moved him up quite a bit in my rankings just today into the top 40 in the outfield, which maybe doesn't sound like enough, but it gets pretty crowded once you climb that high. Yeah. I like that we've seen him not sit out a single time. Granted, the Red Sox have faced only one left-hander so far, but here's something tangentially related here. Jarren Duran has already sat out 3 times. Is it 3 or is it just 2? Hang on. I think it's just 2.
2.
Yeah, it's just 2. But Abreu 0, Duran 2, and both of the times Duran sat out was actually against a righty.
It has been 3.
Because it was the 3rd today?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, it has been 3. So that's bad news for Duran. Not that that's who you brought up, but I don't like to see it. I don't like to see it at all. As for Wilyer Abreu, I still think his swing is poorly suited for his home park. And look at that. All 3 of his home runs have been on the road.
Yeah, so as a left-handed, pull-heavy hitter in Fenway, it's not great.
It's not I'd potentially love Wilyer Abreu if he played in a stadium with normal configuration. But he's in probably the worst, certainly one of the worst venues for maximizing left-handed power to the pull side, which is where Wilyer Abreu lives. I mean, that's his main strength as a hitter. He elevates well to his pull side. Not a good place for a left-handed hitter to do that. It doesn't mean he's not going to be startable, even in 3 outfielder leagues. I would bet on him being that. I've got him in that range of my rankings now. It just means it is going to it is going to restrict his upside, and in my estimation will probably keep him on the fringes of those 3 outfielder leagues rather than being a definitive must-start option.
I love when this happens too, Scott, is we both updated our rankings here, and we both moved Wilyer Abreu up to outfielder 39, the same exact spot, which we never talk about. It's just a lot of times it winds up that way, which is it's pretty funny. Last year for Abreu, 22 homers, 69 RBI, 6 steals, did all of that in just 115 games. So part of this is just if he stays healthy for a full season and he's an everyday player, which again, I feel like they value his defense so much that's going to keep him in the lineup. Just him playing that much, I mean, we could get the breakout like that. It could be, 25 to 30 home runs, 10 steals, and good counting stats in the middle of a good Red Sox lineup. So I think that's all possible here for Wilyer Abreu. Dylan Cease, Scott, this is an interesting one. I couldn't tell if I am super encouraged by what he's done. Am I buying what he's done so far with the Blue Jays? He did bounce back against the Dodgers here. 5 innings, 2 runs, 1 of those earned, 8 strikeouts to 4 walks. You don't like the 4 walks. And actually he struggled early on and then he settled down. And then he threw 5 innings. It was 3 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, 1 unearned run, came out for the 6th, gave up a hit, walked 2, and boom, blows up his whip, coming back out for the 6th inning. But this is the most diverse pitch mix that we've ever seen from Dylan Cease. Like, he's just not relying on his slider as much anymore. I don't know if that's a good thing, but I am encouraged by the changeup. The changeup has looked really good for him. So there's a lot there.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you wind on Dylan Cease? Wind up. Are you overall encouraged early on?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm not really sure what to think yet. So he did show this expanded arsenal in the first start, got 12 strikeouts. That was against the Athletics. The second start kind of went back to more typical pitch selection, really heavy on fastball, slider. The other pitches were there, but just not used that much. And it wasn't a great start. That was at the White Sox. And this third start, 6 pitches thrown at least 10% of the time. That is a much more diverse arsenal than we're used to seeing from Cease. But was the start actually good? Well, 1 earned run in 5 innings against the Dodgers lineup, 8 strikeouts, but he did have those 4 walks. So it might be the control issue, which has long been there for Dylan Cease, might be a separate one from the pitch selection issue. It may be that the pitch selection being expanded is going to make him an even better strikeout pitcher than he already was. In the 2 starts where we've seen him do it, he's had a combined 20 strikeouts in like 10 innings. So it may be that is a good thing on its own, but he still has to get past the control stuff. That's always been there. And I don't think he's ever going to be a control artist. It's just, can he limit them enough that it's not going to get in the way of how dominant he could be, of how good his actual arsenal is.
Man, if he could just live in that 3 to 3.5 walks per 9, which is where he usually is. Right now, it's like 5.5 walks per 9. But again, gets that down to like 3 walks per 9 and continues to flash like this new pitch mix and changeup, which has been encouraging, and just getting all these whiffs on a good team. Like, yeah, I think overall you should be encouraged by Dylan Cease, but Chris talks about this a lot, man. It's having Dylan Cease on your fantasy team, just don't watch him, man. I made that mistake here on Wednesday. It's just, he is so frustrating because from inning to inning, it's just like, you don't know what you're going to get. He could be the best pitcher in baseball. He could just, completely lose every feel of the strike zone and struggle to throw strikes. So that is Dylan Cease, who's off to let's call it a weird start so far this season. I have a couple bonus ones here, Scott. I know we talked about Taj Bradley yesterday, but I've got the Stuff Plus number after yesterday's start. 115, which is tied for second among starting pitchers right now. And I know some people will say, well, yeah, he's had big stuff numbers in the past. It's never been that high. Like, he's peaked at, 108 Stuff Plus. 115, I mean, that's among the best in baseball. So not sure if he can maintain that, but that more splitter that Taj Bradley is throwing, I'm really encouraged if I have Taj Bradley on my team right now, or, still could be a free agent in some leagues. So I would go out there and make sure I have Taj Bradley on my team to see if it's legit. Buy low hitters. Look, any of the top 100 picks that, are underperforming right now, and if anyone's concerned about, those are the names. So the Mariners' big three hitters, Josh Naylor, Julio Rodriguez, and Cal Raleigh. I mean, and just Bo Bichette with the Mets. All four of these names have an OPS of 505 or lower so far this season, Scott. So, and they're all really, they have a track record, an established track record. So if anyone is freaking out about the Mariners' big three or Bo Bichette, sure. Those are the guys.
To further demonstrate the point, how many games have the Mariners played this year? What are they up to?
I don't have that number exactly, but it's probably like 10 to 12.
10 to 12. So after 9 games last year, Cal Raleigh was batting 156 with 1 home run. Obviously went on to have probably the greatest offensive season for a catcher ever.
They have played 13, and they're actually 4-9. My gosh!
After 13 games last year, 184 with 2 home runs. So he did add a second home run. He only has the 1 right now. But the point is, it was meaningless in the grand scheme of things. And I would say Cal Raleigh, and he's just an example for all these. He's just one example among all the players you talked about. It's your opinion of them really shouldn't have changed yet. It's weird stuff can happen over a 2-week sample, and it just happens to be magnified because it's the initial 2-week sample.
Yep. If this happens in the middle of the season, Scott, that we would probably not even notice what's going on with these guys that we just talked about. So those are the players to buy right now. Let's take our final break. When we return, got the rest of Wednesday's action right after this.
You need a hug?
You need a fist?
Crutch, crutch, crutch.
Crutch, crutch.
Crutch, you need anything.
I do have one question.
We didn't mean right now.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today. Let's take a look at some waiver wire hitters here from Wednesday's action and some names in the shallowest of leagues. Jordan Walker, Scott. Another day, another homer for Jordan Walker. His 5th home run, and he has homered in 3 straight. He has homers in 4 of his last 5. We have talked about him endlessly, but he is still available in 22% of CBS leagues.
Is he? Wow. That needs to change because there were great signs even before these 3 home runs in as many games. The fact he is impacting the ball as hard as anyone at the time, he would lead all the majors in average exit velocity with 98 miles per hour. And I can't imagine it's dropped too much since then, since he keeps homering. 97.5 is what it was coming into Wednesday's action. He made some changes to his swing toward the end of spring training to see the ball better. We always knew he was capable of these kinds of exit velocities, but the fact that he's delivering them consistently now is the big change, and probably tied to those swing adjustments he made, would be my guess. Only 23. That's an age when a lot of top prospects are just reaching the majors. So, in a way, he's a victim of his own hype by that hype propelled him to the majors as a 20-year-old. And it's taken a while to find his footing there, and everyone's given up on him, but looks like he may have figured it out. It's still very early. Obviously, he could fall off, but now's the time when you take the shot on him and hope for the best.
And I'm seeing here that you moved Jordan Walker up to 40th in your outfield rankings. I moved him up to 44th. So we are pretty close there on Jordan Walker, who is, again, 78% rostered on CBS, 56% on Yahoo. So I know those are 3 outfielder leagues, a lot of them, but also 2 utility spots. So you can find a way to get Jordan Walker on your team there. Next up, Royce Lewis, 2 for 3 with a walk, 2 RBI, and his 2nd stolen base. Only batting .219 early on, but 2 homers, 2 steals, 859 OPS, and he's hitting the ball hard. The barrels have been there, and a very high pulled air rate. So another shallow league name. He's 75% rostered on CBS, 44% on Yahoo. But obviously, we want a better batting average, Scott. But like some of the underlying stuff, especially plate discipline too. I've been impressed here early on from Royce Lewis. Those slugging Minnesota Twins.
Yeah, we've already seen him steal a couple bases, which I know he had 12 last year, and he talked about maybe doing it more this year. It's nice to see him backing it up. Otherwise, I don't know. He is hitting the ball a little harder on average. Hasn't really delivered, the real high end exit velocities like we've seen from him in the past, but we know he's capable of them. He's walking more. He's also striking out more, and the batting average is low. I don't know that I see a lot of reason to be encouraged here myself. So maybe you could point out exactly what you're talking about, because I don't see it. But it's too early to have a firm judgment on it anyway.
Yeah, it's the 19.5% walk rate early on, and his quality of contact from 89.8 to 91.2. It's not a huge jump.
Velocity. Yeah.
It's
just the hardest hit ball is 102, which is pretty low for a hardest hit ball. Very low.
Yeah, but it's early on, and it is cold and everything. But a 17% barrel rate, it's like, yeah, that'll work. And he's always been good at pulling the ball in the air, but it's actually up even more from where it was last year. So all those things combined, the
expected stats don't like it at all. They don't like what they're seeing from Royce Lewis.
You know what, Scott? I've always said I don't buy into expected stats. I don't really care about any of that. What about some deep league names here? Troy Johnston continues to rake for the Rockies, 2 for 4 with a double, a walk, a run, and an RBI. He has started 9.
Somebody points out Royce Lewis hit 106 today, so that's the new max.
Take that, Scott.
If this person is right, I'm just taking his word for it.
Troy Johnston has started 9 straight games for the Rockies. And how about this? 6 games next week, 3 at home against the Dodgers. So, they have tough pitchers, but all righties on the schedule as of now. So if you're in one of those deeper 5 outfielder leagues, Troy Johnston, come on down, man. I'm on board with him for next week, at least in a deeper league.
Sure. Yeah, he might make the sleeper hitters toward the lower end of the list. I don't think in the long run, Troy Johnston is going to matter in most fantasy leagues, but he's hot right now. If you got those 5 outfielder spots to fill, if there are enough righties on the schedule, if they're at home for at least half the week, he's somebody you could consider.
And then 3 names in the deepest of leagues. Angel Martinez of the Guardians with a grand sock in a shoe that he went 4 for 5 in this game. It was his second stolen base. He has started 8 of the past 9 for the Guardians. Juan Brito, who also plays for the Guardians, back-to-back multi-hit games since being recalled there. Gabriel Arias is on the IL. He could miss up to 8 weeks with a hamstring injury. And Brito has showed some power and speed in the minors. And then Dustin Harris, who is former Rangers top prospect. He's someone I've always liked, but he's never really gotten a real opportunity. He's playing for the White Sox right now and put up some decent numbers in the minors last year. Very deep league name, Scott. But what do you think on Angel Martinez, Juan Brito, Dustin Harris?
I mean, they called up Dustin Harris over our preferred guy, Sam Antonacci.
That's true.
So we shouldn't be rooting for Dustin Harris here.
Come on.
We shouldn't. I don't wish him ill or anything, but I want to see Sammy. Sam Antonacci. He'll get a shot. Yeah, maybe. Angel Martinez, 3 balls hit over 107 miles per hour in this game, which is notable. I don't know that it's causing me to rush out and pick him up, given what we've seen from Angel Martinez in the past as a major leaguer. But he was definitely throttling the ball today. I guess we'll keep an eye on it. I think he started 8 games. Yeah, 8 of the past 9 you wrote here for the Guardians.
I can confirm that Royce Lewis had a batted ball of 106 miles per hour on Wednesday and another one at 102. So let's go. That average exit velocity is climbing for Roy Lewis. Let's talk some waiver wire pitchers here, Scott. And you know what they say about Ryan Nelson?
60% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to the Blue Sky user who told me to work that in. That actually is a great call there for Roy.
Is that actually the quote from the movie? I don't remember it. Did it 60% of the time it works every time? That's Anchorman, obviously.
Yeah, that's the exact quote. Yeah.
He happened to nail the right percentage, 60%. I remember that quote differently, like 90% of the time it works every time. Okay, 60%. That's true. That is a reference to when Ryan Nelson throws his fastball 60% of the time, he has a good start. Virtually 100% of the time. So it is perfect. Good call by that guy.
Yeah. So here against the Mets, 5 2/3, 1 run, 5 strikeouts, 11 whiffs on 86 pitches. This was with his velocity down like 2 miles per hour. It was another cold day in New York there. So like he's not out there in many leagues, but 72% rostered for Ryan Nelson. Especially, all points leagues, he needs to be rostered as a spark, Ryan Nelson.
But, I think his best category is whip. And that is something that has plenty of appeal in roto leagues. That is a difficult category to fill, particularly in the price range where you got Ryan Nelson. Certainly if somebody dropped him after the first 2 starts, I'd be picking him up. The velocity was down. Induced vertical break on that fastball, 21 inches. It's normally not quite that high. That is about as high as it gets. It's a great pitch. I mean, he's shown it for a year and a half now. 60% of the time, it works every time.
Mm-hmm. Moving on here, the next group, Grant Holmes turned in a quality start and a win at the Angels, 6 2/3 innings, 2 runs with 6 strikeouts, had 13 whiffs on 99 pitches. Mitch Keller, no run support here against the Padres, but a solid outing, 6 shutout innings with 4 strikeouts for him. Joey Cantillo pitched well against the Royals, 5 2/3, 2 runs, one of those earned with 9 strikeouts. His strikeout upside is definitely there. It's just lots of walks and lack of command leads to inefficiency, but there's something there with Joey Cantillo. And Tyler Mahle, a solid outing here against the Phillies, 5 2/3 shutout, 3 hits, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. Scott, how would you rank those 4? Mahle, Cantillo, Mitch Keller, and Grant Holmes.
Holmes and Cantillo, who I think are pretty similar in terms of what you can expect from them in fantasy. Holmes has done it a bit longer, so that's why I have more confidence in him. But I think they're both going to give you nice strikeout numbers with the whip running kind of high because their control is less than stellar. And some of their outings will be on the shorter side for that reason. I don't think they're make or break type pitchers for your fantasy team, but I think Grant Holmes and Cantillo are good enough to roster in 12-team leagues or deeper. Keller and Mahle, I don't care about them as much. It kind of depends on how they're going, what kind of matchups they have. I think they're both highly volatile, and anytime you stream them, you could get burned badly. I don't know if I'd call them Charizards because the high end outcome isn't that great, but maybe they're Charmeleons that
just don't obey you for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know if Ash promoted or he got Charizard or Charmander to evolve into Charmeleon too quickly too, if it was just a Charizard thing. I don't remember. I've only seen bits and pieces of the cartoon. I don't remember what Ash's relationship with Charmeleon was like. I think Charizard was bad, obviously.
Right.
Did not obey Ash.
They had a tumultuous relationship.
Charmander, I think, was fine.
I think it was a little bit rocky with Charmeleon, too.
Well, it was a little rocky with Charmeleon, yeah, but there wasn't quite the same upside. Yeah.
Yep. Actually, if you play the video game back in the day, if you level up your Pokemon too quickly without getting the badges, then the Pokemon will they won't obey you in battle because it's like they don't want you to progress too quickly within the game. So
yeah, I figured I figured there was I figured the cartoon was drawing from the source material there. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, for everyone who wonders, like, wow, what does Frank do? He's never seen any movies. He doesn't like go to museums or know anything. It's like, I have just a bunch of useless knowledge in my head about like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And just, I don't know, all the stuff that I grew up playing with when I was younger. So there you go.
That's why we end up talking about Pokemon so much on this podcast. I got to meet you at your level.
There you go. Yeah. Or wrestling. That's another thing that I know. Like
I don't know anything about wrestling.
Is very niche, So these are my interests, in case you're wondering. Yes. So I appreciate you bringing up Pokemon, Scott. We could talk about it. Any interest in these three waiver wire pitchers? Bailey Ober, a solid outing against the Tigers, 5 2/3, 2 runs, only 2 strikeouts here. He averaged 88 miles per hour on his fastball. Woof. Michael McGreevy picked up a quality start here, but no whiffs at the Nationals. 6 innings, 1 run, only 1 strikeout, only 5 swinging strikes. And Colin Ray was solid at the Rays. He, no pun intended, is filling in here for Cade Horton. And obviously Matthew Boyd went on the IL as well. 5 innings, 1 run, 2 strikeouts for him. Scott, any deeper league interest in like a Colin Ray, McGreevy, Bailey Ober?
I can't imagine rostering any of these guys outside of AL or NL only. And I'm putting Ober in that category because that velocity just keeps getting worse and worse. It was cold where he was pitching, and maybe that's why it was only 88.1 on the fastball versus, 88.6 last time? Like, it's hard to blame it on the cold, what we saw there from Ober. So I don't think he has it anymore. I'm not saying there will never come a point where we might think about streaming McGreevy or Ray or even Ober, but I don't think you should be at that level of desperation yet.
Look at the trend here for Bailey Ober. His fastball velocity over the past 3 years, 91.7, 90.3, and it was 89.1 entering this start. His swinging strike rate last 3 years, 14.2%, 11.7%, 9.4% entering this start, and it's only going to go down. So some troubling trends there with Bailey Ober. The drop-o-meter, not really, just like I have 3 names, and I think we could drop all of them, but maybe you disagree. Brady Singer is 66% rostered. David Peterson is 57%. And Joe Boyle, Scott, rough outing here against the Cubs. I believe all 3 of these names are droppable. What do you think?
Yeah, my favorite is Boyle. I still think there's upside there. There may come a point where I don't see him as droppable, but we're not at that point. I'm not even sure he gets another turn with Ryan Pepio on the verge of returning.
Yep. Some leftovers here. The Padres were off and running against Joey Bart and the Pirates. Ramon Laureano had 2 steals. Fernando Tatis Jr. stole home in this game. Jackson Merrill got his 2nd steal. He already has more than last year. Miguel Andujar and Bryce Johnson also had a steal as well. Taylor Ward is coming alive here, 4 for 5 with 3 doubles and 2 RBI. He has 9 doubles on the season. No homers. Would like to get some homers from Taylor Ward, but lots of doubles early on. Hunter Goodman with a big game, 1 for 2 with 2 walks, a sock, and a shoe. His 2nd home run, his 1st steal. Big game for Rafi Devers, 2 for 4 with his 2nd home run, 4 RBI. Corbin Carroll continued his nice start, 3 for 5 with 2 doubles, a triple, and 2 RBI for him. He had 4 hard hits in this game, and his hardest was 108.6 miles per hour off of David Peterson. So lefty on left there for Corbin Carroll. And Nico Horner is also off to a great start, 3 for 5 with his 1st home run. He has 2 RBI in 3 straight games. Scott, anything that stands out to you here? Horner, Carroll, Devers, Goodman, Taylor Ward, and lots of Padres steals.
I could come up with things to say, but we're over an hour and we're approaching an hour and 5 minutes. And I'm not sure any of it is interesting enough to actually say. The one thing I'm looking at now is I noticed Horner was batting leadoff. And how common has that been? It's been pretty common. It is the 6th time in the last 7 games Nico Horner has hit leadoff. Mostly those games have come against lefties.
Yep.
But he may be positioning himself to stay there, which would help his value.
Yep. Some pitching leftovers here. Part 1, Brian was meh at the Rangers. Did have some costly defense behind him again, my guy Connor Joe. 5 innings, 3 runs, 1 of those earned, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Did have 12 whiffs on 83 pitches. Ohtani, the pitcher, didn't have his best stuff here. Didn't get too many whiffs, but still a quality start. He's 2 for 2 in quality starts here. And Michael King, a quality start at the Pirates. 6 innings, 2 runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Scott, anything on Michael King, Ohtani, the pitcher, and Brian Woo?
So Ohtani's velocity was back up. It was down in the first start. His pitch selection was a little closer to normal. He's been bringing back the splitter this year after not throwing it much in either 2025 or 2023. He didn't pitch at all in 2024, remember. So I wonder if that's a reflection of how his elbow is feeling. That pitch can be tough on the elbow. But, bottom line, feel good about Ohtani, the pitcher, right now.
And the next group includes Sonny Gray, who had a quality start against the Brewers, 6 1/3 shutout innings, only 2 strikeouts there. And Aaron Nola, who took a quality start loss at the Giants, 6 innings, 3 runs, only 3 strikeouts for him. Anything on the old vets, Sonny Gray and Aaron Nola?
So Sonny Gray looks like a very different pitcher this year, is the main thing I've noticed. He is leaning a lot more on the sinker. That wasn't true in this start, strangely enough, even though he had just 2 strikeouts and 7 whiffs on 90 pitches. He didn't throw the sinker as much in this start, but he threw it a lot in his first 2 starts. The ground ball rate is much higher than in years past. The whiff rate is much lower. So he seems to be taking on more of a pitch to contact ground ball specialist type of profile. We've seen so many different versions of Sonny Gray over the years. This is part of what made him so frustrating to analyze. Early in his career, that's more who he was than the strikeout pitcher he's been more recently. So I don't know where this is going with Sonny Gray. He's good enough to roster and start most of the time, but how many strikeouts is he actually going to give you? Is his ERA going to end up lower because he's changing his approach? Will he even stick with this for long? I have no idea.
I kind of feel like it could be a weather-related thing, like try to pitch to contact early in the season when it's, the ball doesn't travel as well, but I haven't seen any confirmation of that. That's just me speculating. The call to the bullpen for the Guardians, Cade Smith was unavailable. Matt Festa picked up his first save. For the Orioles, Ryan Helsley unavailable. Rico Garcia picked up his first save. For the Rangers, Jacob Junis unavailable. Cole Winn picked up his first save. For the Astros, they were down 8-1 in this game. Brian Abreu was brought on in the 8th inning, try to get him back on track a little bit, build some confidence. He allowed a run on 2 walks and a hit and averaged 95.8 miles per hour on his fastball. Last year, 97.3. So the velocity remains down for Abreu, and he is off to a terrible start. Has not been able to capitalize while Josh Hader has been out. For the Cardinals, Riley O'Brien got the 9th inning with a 5-run lead. The Cardinals added 2 in the top of the 9th, or else this would have been a save situation, but it was a clean inning for him to finish out the game, and he has finished out 4 of the last 5 appearances there for Riley O'Brien.
Wow, Brian Abreu hasn't had a scoreless outing yet.
Not great.
Not great.
For the Marlins, Pete Fairbanks is on paternity leave, and I assume both Anthony Bender and Calvin Fauché were unavailable here. Michael Peterson got the 9th inning with a 3-run lead. He allowed 2 hits, but struck out 2 for his first save. For the Yankees, David Bednar got the 9th inning with the game tied. He allowed a run on 2 hits. He took the loss. One thing to pay attention to, he is averaging 95.6 miles per hour on his fastball, and last year it was 97.1. And I saw a quote that he says, usually he starts slow and kind of builds up. That was not the case last year or 2024, but it was the case back in 2023. So let's just pay attention to David Bednar's velocity. I know it has been really cold, obviously, so perhaps that is another excuse. For the Athletics on the other side, Joel Kuhnel got the 9th inning with a 1-run lead, and he pitched a clean inning. He struck out 1 for his first save. Justin Sterner threw 2 innings, and Mark Leiter Jr. got rocked on Tuesday night. so I just assumed they weren't available. Joel Kuhnel has been really bad in his career, so I don't think there's anything there. Scott, do you disagree?
I don't think we need to worry about this Joel Kuhnel guy. That is my analysis.
Do we need to worry about anyone in the Twins bullpen? I really don't think so. Justin Topa recorded an out in the 6th inning. Cole Sands recorded an out in the 7th inning. And then it was lefty Cody Funderburk who got the final 2 outs of the game for his first save. This whole bullpen just feels yucky.
It does. I think after talking about the last 2, I feel like I need to take a shower. That's how yucky it is.
You know what? We're almost done, Scott. So we'll get you up and out of here. To stream or not to stream on Thursday, we got Rhett Lauder at the Marlins, Max Meyer against the Reds, Jeffrey Springs at the Yankees, Mick Abel against the Tigers, Eduardo Rodriguez at the Mets, Randy Vasquez against the Rockies in San Diego, and Seth Lugo against the White Sox.
So I like Rhett Lauder at Miami. And I think I would opt for Seth Lugo against the White Sox. That seems like a new addition ahead of Randy Vasquez against the Rockies in San Diego. But I think they're all streamable, which I couldn't have imagined saying for Randy Vasquez coming in.
Yep. I agree with that order. Lauder, Lugo, and Vasquez. I think Max Meyer is also fine against the Reds. And then on Friday, we have Steven Matz against the Yankees, Carmen Majinski at the Cubs, Clay Holmes faces the Athletics, Landon Roop at the Orioles, Slade Ciccone at the Braves, Bryce Elder home against the Guardians, Chad Patrick home against the Nationals.
I don't like these choices as much.
Agreed.
Bryce Elder against the Guardians, I think, is my first choice. Chad Patrick against the Nationals. And then Clay Holmes against the Athletics.
Yep.
They all feel pretty risky.
Those were the same 3. And I do agree with that analysis. I would probably order them Holmes, Elder, Patrick. But yeah, I do think there's a little bit of blow up potential for each of those names there. So tread lightly on Friday. We are going to wrap there for Scott. I am Frank. Thanks as always for tuning in to Fantasy Baseball today. Please make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. And we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.